Let's see if these fluoresce. Oh my gosh. Look at that bright, oh my gosh. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio. If you know anybody from Cincinnati, they feel pretty strongly about a few types of foods. Montgomeryan barbecue, Skyline chili. But the thing that I feel most strongly about, Graduate ice cream. It is the pinnacle of ice cream. That's actually a non-negotiable. And I'm a pretty open-minded person. I'm willing to say that there are some things that I like that aren't that great. But Graduate ice cream, it is actually the best. Hashtag not sponsored, but wish I was. I appreciate excellence. Prized by kings and movie stars, considered by many the finest of their kind, will they live up to the hype? Well, as I mentioned, I think that there definitely are some things that just exceed all others in their category. I'm assuming there's a gem in here, no Graduate ice cream probably. Let's see what's in the box. Oh, so what I see are two amazingly bright, deeply saturated red gemstones. I'm gonna venture to guess that these are rubies. The ruby is in the corundum family. It is a sister of sapphire. It's made of aluminum oxide, and what gives it that beautiful red is chromium, and the more chromium, the more red. Since we're talking about the best of the best, I'm gonna guess that these are from Burma. Is that right? Awesome. So let's open the box and see these. I want to be very careful because even in the smallest sizes, especially with this color, Burmese rubies are very, very valuable. Rubies from Myanmar or Burma are considered top quality. And you can't really talk about Myanmar without talking about two of the main mines. We have the Mogok mines and the Mongshu mines. The Mongshu rubies are generally considered more the commercial grade. They're not as high quality as the Mogok rubies, which are the best of the best. It's where you get the term pigeon's blood, which is that deeply saturated, vibrant red. It has a little bit of a purple to it, and it just reminds you of the brightest, most vivid, passionate, stoplight color of red that you could think of. These are really incredible stones. You can see that even in their small size, the color is so vibrant. They have a little bit of a purple to them, but they're that really nice, beautiful crimson red. Mineralogists split rubies into two main categories: marble-hosted rubies and high iron rubies. The marble-hosted rubies are those in Myanmar, Vietnam, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, and they have certain properties. Even between Mogok and Mongshu, which are both Burmese rubies, you have different inclusions that can differentiate the two. The primary inclusion that you are going to look for in a Burmese ruby is what's commonly referred to as silk. There are these concentrations of rutile needles, and when they're in enough concentrations, they can actually form asterism, or that star-like effect. But often what happens is there's this nesting of silk that creates a little bit of a glow, a little bit of a hazy appearance that also makes the ruby really soft and delicate, and it produces this ethereal glow type of quality. When you look into a stone and see that the silk is still intact and not dissolved, which is what happens when it's heat treated, it could be an indication that you have a Burmese stone on your hand, and that is gonna have a high price tag associated with it. So I've grabbed a UV light because one of the other defining features of marble-hosted ruby is fluorescence. Fluorescence is an emission of visible light that occurs when a gemstone is hit with exciting radiation, so it's often of UV radiation. When iron is present in the chemical composition, it quenches fluorescence. In marble-hosted rubies, there is less of an iron content, and so you're generally going to get higher fluorescence. So let's see if these fluoresce. Oh my gosh. Look at that bright, oh my gosh. This is long wave ultraviolet light, and it is phenomenally intense. I could take it outside, and just being in the sunlight would make it glow and have this kind of fluorescent effect. So it's very strong, very beautiful, and again, something that makes Burmese rubies more prized in the market than other localities. The term pigeon's blood is something that is applied to Burmese rubies, that deeply saturated, vivid red color, but something to remember is that people use this term for rubies that aren't necessarily in Burma, but it's used to describe that color. And so make sure that when you're looking at rubies, you get a good certification report, that you are certain of the locality. Just keep that in mind. So we've got two other rubies, one from Tanzania, one from Mozambique. So the first thing that I want to do, because I'm interested, is test the fluorescence of these other stones. Rubies in Tanzania and Mozambique have a different creation process. So let's see if it can give an indication. So there is some fluorescence there, definitely not as strong. Even when lining up these stones next to each other, you can see this very, very slight purplish pink hue in the Burmese rubies. And it's subtle, but it's a really important difference. So you have the Tanzanian ruby, you have the Mozambican ruby, and then you have these two Burmese rubies. Like, look at that difference. When you compare it to the rubies from Burma, it just doesn't hold a candle to it. That's wild. So when we're talking about the value of rubies, color is the most important aspect. This pigeon's blood is the most prized in the industry. It is extremely expensive. It is not unheard of to be over $1 million a carat. $1 million a carat for a high quality Burmese ruby. Definitely put that on your bucket list. These rubies are actually for sale on jtv.com. We'll link them below for you in case you want to take a peek. They're part of our Presents collection, which is our collection that has our premier top-notch items. And so definitely go look at them on the website and take a look around and see some of the other amazing gemstones we have on there. Rubies are very fantastic. I love them. I think they're so pretty. I don't have any, but would love to add some to my collection one day.
Let's get these guys out of here. So we have a bunch of rubies. Looks like I've got quite a few different locations here. This one I know for sure. This is from Vietnam. This one is actually featured in the gemology reference. A lot of times ruby crystals tend to be a little bit more squat than the bipyramidal corundum crystals you see in sapphire. So I was really happy to find this guy that was more elongated. Ruby from Vietnam, similar to what can occur in Burma, often forms in this marble matrix and can have very strong fluorescence. You can see some nice little green speckles in the matrix there. That's very likely pargasite. A lot of the times the Vietnamese rubies can be a little bit more pink. They really skate the border of hot pink to actual ruby red. This one, I believe, is from the same location and another really nice elongated crystal. On some of the translucent areas there, you can see where it's like a really hot pinkish red. So you can get some really world-class ruby from Vietnam. We have this from Afghanistan. Afghanistan rubies are well known for their deep, deep red color. It's believed that many of the rubies in the crown jewels actually came from Afghanistan. I want to say I believe some were worked into the Taj Mahal as well. Absolutely beautiful deep colors there. Then we have a little more far afield. We have some from Norway. This you've got in a bit of a granite. I believe this darker material here is phlogopite. These you don't really see much as a faceted stone. I believe these are primarily mined and sold as mineral specimens because you're not getting the transparency to really facet them. But even without the transparency, you gotta love that nice bright red color. And then talking about bright red, this is one that is new to production. There have been some starts and stops from what I've heard with the production of ruby from Greenland, just from the bright red that you see here and the fluorescence that some of these have seen. I am really looking forward to the ruby coming out of Greenland because it is looking like it's going to be absolutely world class. According to some sources, these are some of the oldest rubies formed on the planet. Really neat. So for a closer look, let's take a closer look at this little specimen from Greenland. Just absolutely love the color contrast between the red and the green in this piece.
What have we got here?
Tell us which one's...
Rubies are red, of course, and there are a lot of red gemstones that rubies have historically been mistaken for. That said, the red of ruby is pretty unique. I believe this one to be the ruby.
Why do you think that?
Because it looks like a ruby. Loop to the face, specimen to the loop. I see a lot of fractures on the inside of this, which is not at all uncommon for ruby. The facets are really, really lustrous, which is a good sign because ruby is a corundum and is very hard. A 9 on the Mohs scale, which means that it can take a very high polish. Why wouldn't I think this is a ruby? It's not the right flavor of red, you know what I mean? It's too red. It's really clean on the inside, and there's no surface scratches. Are we sure only one of these is ruby? Am I being duped? Dang, I don't know what you are. This one's also got a lot going on internally. Pretty lustrous, but I'd say the luster isn't as bright as the luster on what I claimed to be the ruby. So the shape of this kind of suggested fluorite, a cleavage octahedron. Fluorite is part of the cubic crystal system. I don't know that I've ever seen a ruby grow in like an octahedron like that. Ruby is in the trigonal system. I think that's a fluorite octahedron. I think this is also not ruby, but I don't know what it is. That's a big ruby. That, you know, if that is a ruby, that's a honkin' ruby. I think this little small guy is a ruby. I'm kind of cheating because I don't think y'all would put a ruby of this size in front of me. I'm prepared to be completely incorrect.
That is a spinel.
Oh, spinel is also cubic. Then what is this?
That is a garnet.
I forgot garnet existed.
Right, I did too. That is red beryl.
No way.
Yes.
A faceted red beryl? Wow, I have never seen one of these before. Red beryl is super rare. It's also known as bixbite. So is this the ruby then?
That is the ruby.
Y'all gave me a big
You're right,
ruby.
you're very good.
I got
No,
played.
not-
I should have gone with my gut.
Did we learn anything today? Was there any...
Yeah, I learned to trust my gut, and I'm face to face with my first faceted red beryl. I'm not even upset that I got that wrong. That's so cool.
When it comes to rubies, there's so much we can talk about. We've only scratched the surface of it today. Let us know in the comments if you have any other questions or if there are any other gemstones that you would like us to take a deep dive into, because we love talking all things gemstones. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss out on our future episodes. Thanks for watching.